DDG episode 209. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Dave, is that a like everything past 200's a milestone, right? So we could just celebrate every week, like
Sure.
209
Yeah.
special
I,
episode.
I literally decide on the fly. I'm like, is it going to be 209? Is it going to be 209? Is it going to be 209? Is it going to be?
Yeah. We'll just pretend everything's a milestone. I can't wait for 210 next week. It's going to be great. We're over here just accepting that we're in the 200s already.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about how fast it goes. I mean, the random stuff shows up on my Facebook memories, and I'm like, wow, it's a long time. Both ways, like whether it's sitting in front of a microphone or like fact of like I think I was thinking about it the other day, like not having to, and I know you enjoy this, so you're not going to get as much of a reaction as I get, but like I don't have to write.
Yeah, I like writing. I've actually been
yeah,
missing writing to where I'm just like, man, I should get back into writing. And I know some of my friends are freelance writers and they're like, get back into it. And I'm like, I don't even know where to start.
Well,
like,
you should write, and then you should also just like stream what you and then read what you wrote. That's what you should do.
I could do that to get some streaming content.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you just kind of write yourself a script, but then just have your own little monologue thing. Like,
yeah, that's podcast enough for me.
Yeah,
podcast is enough.
All right, so we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that let's create a Substack. I don't know what that is. Sorry, my wife's confusing me with chat. So we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that posts every Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time on podcast networks around the world. Maybe other worlds too, if the internet works over there. I don't know.
Probably.
You can also watch us. You can watch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/Digital Days Gaming. So you can watch us right now while we're streaming and recording this, or you can watch us after it records, the video version. And there's also an audio version on YouTube. You can also watch us on Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming. And you can subscribe to us on Twitch if you choose. You can use your Amazon and your Twitch subscription together and have Prime Gaming and get a free sub of the streamer of your choice. Just remember, it doesn't auto-renew, so please consider checking it. We don't have to be live for you to do that. You can follow on YouTube, or not follow. You can subscribe on YouTube. That's free. And that way you can be notified every time we go live. Or you can just go to digitaldaysgaming.com and subscribe to the podcast on your feed of choice. And you can be notified when we're live or when that episode goes live at 6 a.m. Eastern on Thursdays, like it typically does. So with everything else is in the show notes, Patreon, PayPal, the main website is all that stuff is there. And we're going to jump right to the news.
Yeah, Dave, we're gonna get in our get your business suit on. We're in like business video game news mode. All the fun like video game announcements happened last week, so this week is just business. We're in that period now where the financial reports are starting to come out because we're getting closer and closer to the end of March. So we'll probably get a lot of stories like this. The first one is Square Enix is planning to restructure its development process. So the president of Square Enix on a financial call basically said, we are reviewing from scratch what the organizational structure is and what the best way is to implement the contents of the pipeline. Reports were coming out before this announcement was made that basically said the new structure will go into place in April, and the plan is to focus more on in-house development rather than partnerships. And they will have a check and balance system that will decide the fate of a project very early in development, as opposed to finding out a project's not worth it when it's almost close to the finish line, which seems to happen a lot with Square Enix.
And video games in general.
Yeah, video games in general. And these changes are going to, they're basically the result of the last few releases from external studios failing, whether it's like Outriders, Avengers. Well, Avengers technically was partnership.
Outriders
and an internal studio.
Outriders failed Square Enix, but Outriders didn't commercially fail. But
the amount of money they invested in it.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. And it seems like those and Strangers in Paradise, that Final Fantasy game that they worked with Platinum on, it seems like mostly they didn't know how to spend money with those partnerships, so the budgets just got out of control. And they also want to re-look at their internal stuff because Final Fantasy 16, the sales kind of flattened, and they were hoping, one platform, and they were hoping it would continue to sell, and it sounds like it went flat and then kind of fell off a cliff. There's still expansions coming to it, so it's that weird Square Enix mixed messaging of just like, hey, this didn't sell well, but they're going to invest the next like 2-3 years in.
Probably because it's coming to more than one platform.
Maybe. But yeah, Dave, Square Enix restructuring their development process. This can't come as a shock to you.
No, and I think that we were not going to really know the return on investment of this restructuring in 4 or 5 until like earliest of 4 or 5 years. I think we're much farther along. The best example I can give is what Ubisoft has been trying to do. And what we're seeing with Ubisoft doing that, what I think we might see with Square doing it as well, is this big void of nothing.
Yeah.
And Ubisoft is in that void of nothing. Where Avatar, I still feel like was so far in development, and they were trying to do such a graphical fidelity with that game, that you got it's essentially Far Cry. It's Avatar Far Cry.
Yeah.
Which there's nothing wrong with that, but I think the small little nugget that we're seeing about the Ubisoft restructuring is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, like in terms of like good quality gameplay, like that works and is a little different than what they've been doing before. I can't think of a side-scrolling Metroidvania style thing that Ubisoft has done recently, so that's kind of not necessarily like going way off the rails, but that's going,
A couple years since Rayman.
Yeah.
That was like launch PS4.
Right.
Since we had a side-scrolling thing from Ubisoft.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that we're starting to see that potential. I'll be very curious to see from not that I'm making this about it, but where Ubisoft is going with like what they're going to do with their Division franchise. So like that's going to be the tell all, and if I'm Square Enix, I'm paying very close attention to what Ubisoft is doing, not necessarily to copy them, but just to maybe not to see where their faltering is. And I just think in general, like we've been seeing the last 6 to 9 months, like the gaming industry is just in a huge flux right now, and what is the result going to be? Because it's either you're either a free to play juggernaut or you have to sell 25 million copies. There's no in between.
And I think that's where Square Enix is going to find the hardest time, is because they actually are doing the smaller games.
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of those RPGs on the Switch, and those are successful enough. Like you never really hear Square Enix complain about Triangle Strategy not selling well, or Bravely Default, all those games that kind of fit in the same sphere. You don't really hear them complaining about, oh, this game didn't sell well. You only hear them complain about the AAA games, and
it's the ones that they shove in your face, and I also feel like they're kind of shoving them in their face of the wrong market. Like I don't know, like I mean, Final Fantasy 16 being advertised during NBA games, like is that the player base that you want? Like, so that's but it costs to advertise in those NBA games, and it costs to advertise on those commercials, whatever shows that they're on, and I get it that you're looking at like the top most watched things. Like, of course, everybody wants to advertise on the NFL. They dominate. Like I think last stat I saw is like 97 out of the last 100 most watched things are NFL games.
Yeah.
So like they don't have a choice. Like.
Yeah, and I think that kind of comes down to the Square Enix just trying to have to realize, like, okay, what is our market? How do we reach that market to like expand on it? And right now, it just seems like they're kind of lost. They're treating things like it was back then.
Exactly, and I don't think that anybody knows how to currently market to the gamer right now, because I think it's becoming more normal to be a gamer. So and I'm not saying that in a bad thing at all, but I just like before it would be like, oh, a live action trailer for this game, like it's like I think Suicide Squad did a live action trailer and that's the first one I can recall since like Activision Destiny days. Like
well, Suicide Squad also, like, they literally advertised all over AEW and WWE, to where like the ring apron said Suicide Squad and the barricade said Suicide Squad. But that makes sense for Warner Brothers to market to like that crowd. But you have to wonder, like, when you go for the NFL market, the NBA market, like, is that money worth it, or are you just advertising there because you're trying to prop your game up as like, this is a big thing, so we have to. And Square's, like, I think that's the thing that, like, it wasn't mentioned here. It's just mostly about like how they're going to change development, but they really need to look at like their marketing strategies for a lot of this stuff, because
I think that's why they're okay with the Bravely Default and the other stuff, not because they don't shove it down people's throats, and they're like, oh, well, we only spent this much and we made this much. We're cool. We spent that much and we only got this much. Not cool.
And that's where I think Square Enix has to look at it, of just like, okay, you can pump out those like smaller RPGs, like the Secrets of Mana is coming
Yeah.
out to every platform
Yep.
in like a month or two, and that will probably be successful with the size and scope of the game. So it's like, okay, Square, you can pump those games out. So what if you peel off some of your AAA studios to just focus on some of those smaller games, and you kind of just hit people with both quantity and quality of those experiences instead of dumping all of this fucking money into Strangers in Paradise with Platinum or Avengers with Crystal Dynamics. Like those big shots to the moon might not be like financially sound decisions compared to just like, hey, it's like when you look at baseball,
Yeah.
sometimes you need someone with a good batting average and not someone with a good like home run
You need a
totals.
Texas League single hitter, not a strikeout, a home run guy.
Yeah, and that's something Square Enix has to really look at.
What I don't understand right now, and I know where it's going to be similar to the next story, and I'd be really curious about this. Like, why, where, like, I'm trying to word this correctly. Where are the recruiters for these companies? Where are the recruiters for, like, I'm not talking about the human resource recruiters for Square Enix and for Sony and for Xbox. Like, why are you not ripping Epic's employees? Like, just ripping them out of there? Like
because Epic's doing it themselves by fucking firing most of them.
I know, but where are these guys that where's the brainchild for the battle pass system in Fortnite, or the consistent stream content or consistent stuff that they're doing in Fortnite that's continuing to get these people to play? Where's the person that push the Lego thing and push the rocket racing? Like, where are these people that are assistant game directors and on Fortnite and working on that? Like, why isn't I don't even know. Like, I'll use Last of Us Factions as an example. It's just an example. Like, why didn't Naughty Dog go to Epic and say, hey?
So, Dave, what if I told you that the principal monetization designer at Naughty Dog came from Epic Games?
Okay.
So those people were getting signed. It's just they were being fumbled.
Okay.
For at least for Naughty Dog. Yeah. But yeah.
But I just don't understand that the golden child right now is Fortnite. Like, the golden child is Fortnite. Now, what I think is happening is that I think Fortnite understands what they have, and I know that they might be firing people, but the people that they know are making the most influential impact, they're probably compensating and taking care of. Like, they're they know where their oil comes from and what's keeping the gears moving. Like, they get it to the point of where they get a company to invest in them again.
Yeah, so we'll just jump into it right now. Disney has invested $1.5 billion into Epic Games specifically to work with Fortnite. This also gives Disney an equity stake in Epic Games. But this is going to be a partnership and something's coming soon. It almost looks like a theme park, but they're bringing what they're saying is all new games and entertainment universe connected to Fortnite. So they put out a trailer and it just kind of showed like all the brands associated with Disney, of Marvel, Pixar, Disney animation. I think they also put Avatar in there. So basically all the big franchises are going to be coming to Fortnite in a new sort of experience. And this is pretty big news because it's like Disney like kind of diversifying their portfolio by investing in Epic, who they've already partnered with heavily with like their TV show production. During the pandemic, and you kind of start seeing it now. It's a little more obvious now when you're seeing something that's powered by
Star
Epic.
Wars content in Fortnite already. So like there's already good partnership there. I think it's a phenomenal opportunity for Epic to just go crazy with. I don't know, as vague as it sounds, like Lion King skins in Fortnite or something. Like they could do.
Well, yeah, it looks. If you look at the trailer, it does just kind of pull back, and you see basically what looks like a park structure of just little experiences they can do. I don't know why, but also all these deals that Epic signs, just it feels like desperation on both sides. In terms of, let me explain. Of these companies trying to cling to Fortnite, like, fuck it, keep us relevant.
Yep.
And also just I get this like a smaller feel from Epic of just like, we need whatever the fuck we can to keep Fortnite going.
Yeah.
But it's more desperation for the companies partnering with it because they just want relevancy.
It keeps working.
When it fucking goes down, though, I'm gonna be so curious.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it took a long time for the Wii to go down. like a long time.
Yeah, part of me is just I have a hard time believing that Fortnite is going to be like a Minecraft sort of thing
Yeah.
where it's going to be universal forever. Uh, I don't want it to go bad, but it's I don't know. I do think all these companies
when they hit the cliff, it's going to be a long drop. I agree with you, but
Yeah.
where that cliff is, who the hell knows?
Yeah, it could be 5, it could be 10 years down the line, but it's just one of those things where it's going to be completely fascinating to watch, like these partnerships and what they do and what Epic does, because they're the biggest engine maker, who happen to have the biggest game in the world.
Yeah,
like at one point, are they just like, yeah, we're all Fortnite, or do they start going back to being more engine?
I think that they're kind of like they've kind of quietly in quotation marks created a brand like Kleenex, like it's face tissue, but everybody calls it Kleenex even if it's not Kleenex. So it's almost like it's changing over time, but my parents still call my video game systems Nintendos.
I was gonna say, is it just gonna be Nintendos. Are you playing the Fortnite?
Yeah, so it's like Fortnite is now going to be Netflix, or it's going to be Blockbuster. And there's multiple things that you can do in there, and they're already proving that. Are they all super successful? Yeah. No, but they're signing in, and I mean, I think that when we talk about our next story that are segueing together, I think people are going to be very shocked at my position on certain things, and not either they're going to be super shocked or they're going to be like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. But it's just one of these things where the landscape is changing, and people when they dial back and look at stuff, they don't realize that over time how much something has changed, which feels like a long time, but it's really only a short time. And it just kind of naturally and slowly happens to where you're just comfortable with it. And that's what I feel like Fortnite's doing now, where people are signing in because the season's ending. People are signing in because there's a concert. There's eventually, Epic probably has enough money to do in the next couple of years to do some type of Super Bowl calibration where you're going to be watching halftime in the Fortnite concert. It's just as an example, and they're just slowly integrating this to similar to how smartphones been integrated to us, and the house phone has gone away, or listening to whatever your MP3 player, that wasn't that long ago, but now it's all merged into a phone. The evolution has changed a ton in a short amount of time, and it was very slow and gradual to the where now you look back and you're like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just weird right now, and I'm just so tired of I'm with you. I'm tired of the rich are getting richer. Epic got better. Epic got better today. Disney got better today.
Yeah, after both companies laid off a ton of people in the last month or 3 months. And in Epic's thing, it's just okay, now Epic is going to probably go back to a lot of people they fired and being like, you're not an employee, you're a contractor. Because now we have this money in. So then, and this is when, developers are just like, well, I need to put food on the table. So I'm going to sign that contract, be a contractor, and just get in that vicious cycle again. So it's hard to be super excited about the companies getting money. Grey Ghost did ask a question. I'm just going to drop it in here. Does the Disney investment into Fortnite excite you guys? They said you'll be able to watch media inside the game. This does nothing for me. I agree. I like watching a Marvel movie in Fortnite. Might be something I might try one time, but I don't see that becoming the future of.
They don't want you, Michael.
No.
They want Owen, and they'll get him.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, they want Owen, and they'll get him. And it's already it's already happening. Whatever, his all of a sudden his new fascination with Dragon Ball, I think came out of Fortnite. He was playing in Fortnite, and something Goku killed him, and he's like, "Who's that?" And now he's playing. Now he's watching Dragon Ball, and
I'm so sorry.
Whatever.
So sorry.
It doesn't. He's fine. He's entertained. He's 8 years old. He can just do his own. I don't know. He tries to talk to me about it. I don't know what he's doing.
Starts doing kamikaz, and
it's already happened.
What the hell's going on?
It's already happened. I was like, is that a new Hadouken? But because.
I'm so sorry.
No, but I mean that's the world. I know, but that's the world that we're in right now. That's where the marketing is coming from, and that's what's happening. Of he would rather play, you know, he doesn't know. I'm trying to. He really doesn't know what a disc is. Like,
Oh,
like it's he like in terms of like he knows what a DVD is, but he's never had to use a CD. He can listen. He can okay Google play this, and it happens. Like it's a completely different world for him and than it is for you and for me, and you're younger than me, but it's super interesting just to see, and that I would love to see the data, like in terms, like I know I used it as a basic example, but okay, we add, I bought the TMNT skin stuff for Fortnite. I would love to see after they put that in Fortnite, did Paramount see an increase in subscriptions of people watching the show?
and that's what they want. Like
Yeah.
Disney is hoping to get maybe those people that play Fortnite already that don't have Disney.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're interested in Disney.
Yeah,
but I also think
put a Percy Jackson thing in there. Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Oh, go watch the show. It's on Disney Plus. Oh, I'm not subscribed to it, but that thing in the game looks cool, so let's check it out.
Yeah, and they're hoping to at least get that Fortnite thing. But I also think Epic right now is at a spot where Fortnite is hit a saturation point that they do want someone like me to be like, fuck it, let me pop on Fortnite. So like Epic's is definitely, Disney just wants to peel some of the people off Fortnite into their ecosystem.
Mhm.
But Epic right now is at a point where they keep getting these investments and they're just like, we just need to eat as many people as we possibly can.
And these major corporations, mega corporations, whatever you want to talk about it, and this saturation or this consolidation and stuff, or these partnerships people hate and stuff like that, but they're necessary. Like there's reports right now of still circling back of like ESPN and Fox and
TNT
are
and
all
Disney
gonna make like their own app, and I'm like, yes, please, like yes, like I'm
called, you're just like, bring me back to cable television, but don't bring me back to cable.
No,
television.
but I want to control what I watch. Like that, that's the thing. I don't need all these 24-hour news networks. I don't need Home Shopping Network. I don't need those things, but I want ESPN. I want to be able to watch football. I want to be able to make a decision of like, oh, NBC showed a show that I want to watch this like this fall or whatever. Okay, here's $5 a month. Oh, the show's over. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Like versus cable's like 80% of what we were given on cable nobody watched, or
no, but it is funny, like it them being like literally what they're selling you is the sports package that would be in cable.
Right. Oh, my friend's like, I switched to YouTube TV. I'm like, okay, that's cable repackaged.
Yeah, 100%, and that's basically what like all those companies announced today. Of just like, yeah, we're just gonna sports app. It's like, okay, cool, like, please, and then cable companies are gonna have
eliminating like Spectrum and Charter and all these companies are gonna struggle because these other companies are realizing that they can just do it by themselves.
Well, yeah, and that's basically what happened to cable when, like, remember the only way to get Red Zone was you had to have DirecTV.
Yeah.
And then soon as that got pulled away from DirecTV started to fail and then had to merge with AT&T.
And for people to say, like, and I've been watching this stuff this week, and I don't mean to go down this rabbit hole, but, like, everybody's complaining about the football game on Peacock last weekend, or the Chiefs, like, playoff weekend, like 2-3 weekends ago. Everybody's like, oh, that's stupid. I'm not paying for that. And the commissioner of the NFL stood at his press conference, his State of the Union press conference during Super Bowl week, and goes, yeah, we doubled the viewership on night regular television the same time slot last year.
Yeah.
And how's the YouTube acquisition of Sunday Ticket going? Oh, our subscriptions were doubled.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, no, and that's basically what's happening in terms of just like you'll get people complain about it, but most of the people are still going to subscribe to it because it's the thing that they love.
Yep.
And especially when you're comparing to cable or traditional and antenna television, like everything's going to be bigger. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's why those companies are so desperate to get that.
But I guess other than a live sporting event, I'm annoyed if I can't. Like I'll be honest with you, like, and Owen's starting to experience it a little bit now too. Like we had to watch Percy Jackson like once a week.
Yeah,
and that was annoying. Like and that's the part of being spoiled that we've come to. Of like, I very rarely do I have appointment viewing television unless it's a sporting event, a live sporting event. Other than that, I mean, and you kind of have it with wrestling to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like, I pick and choose what I want to watch, when I want to watch it, how I want to watch it.
Yeah, no, I'm like that. Though I sometimes when I do find a show I like I'm watching The Bear finally.
Yeah.
And I could burn through the first 2 seasons like that, but I'm trying to take my time because I want to enjoy it.
Well, and then the Awesome Gems are gone. Like the thing that comes on after your favorite show, that they purposely put this, like, oh, let's try this show and see what happens. Like, and like, and see it, those days are done because people just watch their thing like on demand. Like they click Hulu,
you basically have to wait
Hulu
for
on,
it to.
they click Bachelor on, and they hit play, it ends, and they leave. Like, and they don't hang out. They don't watch commercials. They pay not to watch them, so you can't advertise for them.
That's basically how, like, that's where like a TikTok comes in.
Yep.
Like me and Sarah didn't know about this show called Has Been Hotel on Amazon until we passed by it on TikTok, and then it's just like, oh, that looks interesting. Let's go.
Oh, it's on Amazon Prime.
Account.
Oh, cool. I have that. Like, I mean,
yeah.
It's just it's super weird, and it's just this weird, like, and people hate it. Like, there's some people that hate it and love it. We had this conversation in the Discord this week. Like, I don't care. Like, I care about the human beings and having their jobs, but I don't care about, like, I'm not supporting this person because they said this publicly. Do you entertain me when I choose to turn your show on? Cool. I don't really care what your political beliefs are. I don't really care what your, to
an extent, I would say, though. There's definitely a spectrum on some of that stuff.
But to me, if that person is providing me with enough entertainment that I think is worth it, then I'll look past it. Or if a company provides a product that I want and it fits the needs at the price that I want, like, I guess, I can say, like, maybe I don't have any political standard for my own self, but if it's the right price and the right deal and that's what I want, like, I don't. It's business.
Well, I think maybe political. I'm the same way, but like, I don't know. Before WWE erased Vince McMahon last week, I was like, I might be done with this company.
You might be done.
Yeah, but then they erased him within the same day, so I didn't even get a chance to think about it. But like, there was a chance, because I'm already very casual with my wrestling stuff. But like, there's a point where I'm just like, yeah, I'm not watching the Royal Rumble tomorrow because it feels icky. And then I think they fired him within
my wife's trying to say that I do have a line. Like, yeah, I do have a line, but it's much farther than other people's lines.
Yeah.
Like, much farther. Like, you have to do a lot. Like,
yeah.
But
we'll move on to the next story before we just start figuring out what shows that we can watch and can't watch. But yeah, this is a weird one because we don't have the info yet, so I'm just gonna info dump right now. But Microsoft making Vision announcements coming next week, or an announcement about their Vision. So several reports and data mines have led to many believing games like Starfield, Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi Rush, and even Indiana Jones are coming to PlayStation. The news was met with like a horrible reaction from Xbox enthusiasts and influencers, some of which promised to no longer cover Xbox. Some of them, like Dave, I don't know if you saw some of these videos, but you had people.
I have enough PlayStation fanboys sending me stuff of laughing at people, so it's great.
Yeah,
My Twitter DMs have been fantastic.
Oh, I'm so glad I don't get those DMs. The reaction to reports were so bad that Phil Spencer promised to address the state of Xbox's plans or vision sometime next week. Other Xbox news include the possible closure of Toys for Bob, so their like physical studio space in San Francisco has been closed. Mm-hmm. Activision won't confirm that the whole studio is closed or if they're just going to do remote. They also closed the Sledgehammer office in San Francisco, but those employees are working remote. So basically, they laid off, realized that they don't need the whole building, and then had everyone go remote. And then there's also reports, which I believe we talked about a week or two ago, that Xbox is no longer interested in releasing physical copies for their first-party games. There's reports that I think it was Walmart and Target basically were told by Microsoft to just destroy copies of Starfield or send them back to Microsoft because they're not interested in having the discs sold anymore. They just want people to do Game Pass. But Dave, I think everyone knows our opinions on games being available on multiple platforms being a good thing.
A great thing.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on Xbox potentially publishing on multiple platforms?
What does it hurt? Like
I don't know, Dave.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just Sony would never do that.
PC.
Okay. Yeah, they're doing it with PC. Nintendo would never do that. Mobile. Like,
Yeah, but a little lesser with
it's a
Nintendo.
little different, but at the
But
same
they
time,
can get away with it.
yeah. Well, the reason that Nintendo can get away with it is because their consoles are cash profit from the start.
Yeah.
It's like, and then they just
And
get,
their games
and then
are
they
also profit.
right, and then they just get higher margins over time. The Switch is 10 years old, or maybe, and it's more profitable now than it was when it launched. Not because of the software. Yes, the software is there, but because the hardware is 15 years old.
There are factories that are like still producing parts that they don't produce for anyone else because Nintendo, like Nintendo's keeping those factories running because some of the tech is so old.
I don't care what some of these PlayStation fanboys say. Like, there is no way. Like, and there's no way that Xbox is producing the Series X and S, and each one of those are allegedly at a loss. When the hardware is, at least in the X, is very similar to the hardware in the PS5, and you're going to tell me that the PS5 is profitable from the start. It's profitable because of the units sold, but if you divide it out by like cost per unit, it's not profitable. Like, they're selling a box and they're losing money on it because they have the software to support it.
If they get you to buy that digital one and then you buy the disc drive separately, they might be profitable.
I'm talking about launch. I'm talking about launch.
Yeah.
You know, so I get 100, and then you got to buy the stand too. So you know,
that's how they make it profitable.
No, I get that part, but you know, and I'm so tired of this like exclusive or multi-platform shit. All three of these things, like my ROG Ally, or my PC and my PS5 and my Xbox Series X, are very, very similar in terms of like power and structure and architecture. Like, they're very similar. This is not a cell processor PS3 that they got their ass kicked on. This is not an Xbox One that they tried to make a cable box that they got their ass kicked on. And these are all repercussions of that. PlayStation spent all of the PS3 era in damage control, to the point where they climbed themselves out of a huge hole that they dug themselves in, and they did the PS4 right, and the PS5 rode the coattails of the PS4. And the reverse is Microsoft did the Xbox and the 360. They did the Xbox very, very, very well. And the 360 went really well, and they fumbled the Xbone, which then caused them to still fumble the series. Like, it's not really a fumble. It's just it's just done. Like, it's not necessarily that it's done, but I don't think that they feel that it's a necessary evil. You have to remember, at its core, Microsoft is a software company. Like, they're
a services company, they're a software company.
And the box is the necessary evil. So if they can eliminate or reduce the box, for the record, they are not stopping making consoles. They are not going full 100%. Publisher.
They're not stopping. Yeah.
They're not going full Sega. They're not. And I tweeted this week. Sega had the better box. The Dreamcast was better than the PS2 and the Xbox. Better, way better. But the marketing, circling back to marketing, it was a better console. Like statistical wise.
Maybe my PlayStation fanboy would say like the PS2 was more powerful.
It did better things.
Xbox was significantly powerful, but it was clunky as fuck.
Right. But I meant the Dreamcast in terms of like the controller and the games and everything that they were doing at the time, and it just didn't work. They were a Japanese company that couldn't market in America. Like, they
made it very easy to pirate.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what killed them too.
So, like, the people caught up to it. But they of the three at the time, there are many people that can make the argument that the Dreamcast was better than the PS2.
You can maybe make that argument. The Xbox was significantly more powerful than both of those consoles combined. So but Microsoft didn't know what they were doing because they were just starting off. So like, Sega had the advantage there.
And I'm very, like, I tweeted this too, and I don't think this is going to happen, but I am very concerned if Xbox does stop making boxes, it's going to, I saw a couple things about this and people disagree with me, but it's going to make Sony more lazy.
Well, no, and that's basically, like, I literally talked to people that worked at PlayStation during the PS4 era, and I remember them being like, I'm worried, and I was just like, why? And they're like, there's a lot of people that are complacent right now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I think I told you about that they at E3 that I talked to someone, and I was just like, yeah, he's really upset that people are getting kind of lazy, because that fire early PS4 days was gone. Because this is around like when Days Gone came out, like that last E3. I remember talking to people that legit worked for PlayStation that were just like, yeah, man, that fire is not there anymore. And we kind of still see that. Like, they're basically kind of coasting. Kind of what Nintendo kind of did during the N64 and GameCube era, before they, struck gold with the Wii. And then they got lazy again with the Wii U, and then they struck gold with the Switch. Like this happens. But yeah, no, being worried that like if Xbox leaves the market, that PlayStation's is going to coast is something that you need to worry about, because PlayStation doesn't see Nintendo as competition, because Nintendo lives in their own bubble. Like, Nintendo will probably forever still be making cartridges because it works for them, and they don't have to worry about anything. You want to talk about a company that doesn't need to advertise? How often are we getting like Mario commercials during like football games and stuff? Like, they don't need to do that.
And the counter to it is, you look at all the success of Mario Kart 8. Like, how old is that game? And like, how many units has it sold?
It's a Wii U game.
Yeah,
so
and they don't really, like, to your point, Michael, they don't really advertise. And then the counter to it is like, we see Kratos and God of War and Aloy and Horizon everywhere, and they're cheering 9.5 million copies, and Nintendo's like over here like, oh cool. So you decided to like to actually like sit at the table with us for half a day.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, those two games, did hit the 20 million mark,
Yeah.
but it took a little
fast.
bit.
Tears of the Kingdom's been out, what, 8 months, and it passed them.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I
Yeah.
said not as fast.
Yeah.
They get there eventually. But yeah, no. From a perspective,
And how
of
many
just, like,
versions does it take for them to get there too?
but yeah, that you'd have to account for that. But when it like comes to like these games going like, multi-platform, like I think we've said since day one, we love the idea of more people being able to play games.
Yep.
Especially these games. This is still a ploy for Game Pass.
Yep.
Because
they get all of it. Microsoft gets all of it. So they either get you to sign up for Game Pass, or you pay $70, or you wait 3 months and you pay $70. And even if Sony gets a 30% rip of that $70, they don't care, because they got more money than they had before.
Yeah, and then also there's a chance that, like, say they actually start hitting gold with Obsidian, because Obsidian's probably got the most games announced in a row. There could be a PlayStation person who's like, oh shit, I really liked Avowed. Oh shit, I really like Pentiment.
Mm-hmm.
I spent $70 here, I spent $50 here, but if I went Game Pass, I would get their next set of games for this much instead of that much. So it's a way that they can get their money either way, in hopes that maybe they do pull you to Game Pass, and then hopefully they'll be at a point where, like the thing we keep talking about, like eventually they're going to sign a deal with a TV manufacturer.
Yeah. Why?
And
10 years ago, people said, "Why would I pay for a monthly service to watch movies?"
Yeah. There were people using Netflix only for the discs, like.
But even then, like, why would you're gonna mail me stuff? Like, that's stupid. And like, oh, now you're gonna take away my discs, and you're gonna just make me like watch something on an app, and like, and it's so interesting to me of where, like, if you in the next 2 to 3 years, I will be 100% content, and I will buy it right away if I can just stick a thumbstick in my HDMI port and connect my Bluetooth controller to it and play games.
Yeah. And
for $18 a month or $20 a month. Yes, please.
And there's also a thing that, like, would, like, there was, I know, panic of just people just like, oh, they're going to stop making physical hardware. And I don't think they ever will stop making physical hardware, because that's what people end up like attaching their personality to, as silly as that is.
When's the last time you saw a Windows disk?
You don't need a disk for Windows anymore. No one has disk drives. Yeah, no, but but for console fanboys, for the people that are going to cheerlead your shit, they like to have a box. But I think that's what ends up happening is Microsoft has a console in the future, but they just don't really give a shit about it. Like, it exists, it can do the things that it needs to do, but they don't need to hit a big marketing push for that box. So they're worried about sales for that dumb box. Like, they can just cut corners where they need to cut corners, but it's not going to be something that they're worried about. Like, oh, we got to make sure we hit that launch day for that box. It's just like, no, here's just the latest box that you can play the games.
It's just evolution. We used to have to put a disc in our PS3 to watch Netflix. just to run the app.
But I really think they're not going to be walking away from a console anytime soon.
But I think their version of a console is going to be different than what we think of a console. Like, it'll be a hockey puck that looks like an Alexa.
I think it's going to be that, and it's still going to be a console. And the only difference is like, hey, it can run the game a little better because you're not streaming it. But it's not going to become the main. Right now, Xboxes, or like when you look at like Xbox One, 360, the focal point of that ecosystem was a physical box. I think now that physical box is just going to be considered an accessory of like, how are you interacting with Game Pass, and is there a benefit for you to have that physical box? And they don't care how you interact with their shit.
That's not a bad thing. Like, and like if PS5 players have to wait 90 days to play Indiana Jones, okay, that's a choice you made. I saw something that somebody was like, oh, like if I bought an Xbox and and all of a sudden I find out now like Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7, I can't play it. I'll feel like it's $500 down the toilet. You made a fucking poor decision, a poor financial choice. If those are the game, like I, you guys know me pretty well now. I don't cuss like that. Like, you made a terrible choice. You did not do your research. Do you go to the dealer and just buy the car that he tells you to buy? No. Like, you made a poor choice. That's your fault. But at the same time, like, I'm okay with buying multiple versions of something. Like, if whatever this Apple Vision thing is, like, my wife's gonna roll her eyes or whatever, but she knows it's true. If they come out with something that I think is cool enough and worthy enough of me buying the hardware, guess what I'm gonna buy? The hardware, because I want to play it, and I don't care.
And the people that are like upset about like, oh, I bought this machine and I can't play the game, Xbox is trying to correct that a little bit. In terms of this, like, hey, you might have been a Bethesda person and you invested in PlayStation. Well, fuck it, we're gonna put out Starfield on PlayStation. And it also could be a point of Microsoft just being like, can you squeeze out a little bit more profit of this? Because, the Game Pass thing, you might have saturated the market. It's at 30 million subscribers. Can we squeeze any more money out there? And Phil Spencer's like, yeah, we can put it on PlayStation. And we can squeeze more money out. And because the consoles are getting so similar to each other, the development costs aren't as bad to port it.
And people keep pointing at Starfield. Starfield was a top 12 NPD game last year. And we did not see a decrease in Game Pass subs. So either they increased or they stayed stagnant. So they kept the same people they had. They sold copies of it on Xbox. Probably not very many. We saw it on the top of the Steam charts. It's a top 12, top 20 selling game for 2023. Like, where's the negative here? Like, where's the bad part?
And if you're Microsoft looking at the Xbox, they're just like, how can you squeeze more profit? It's just like, okay, we can just go on one more platform. And the hopes by going to that platform is then maybe you can peel off people, just like how Disney is investing in Fortnite, so you can watch Disney stuff in Fortnite, because then they hope that you're like, well, I want more Disney stuff. Let me subscribe to Disney Plus. So then you're leaving Fortnite's ecosystem.
How many people do you know that only own a PS5? No other system. Just ballpark.
A
10?
fair... probably like 20.
Okay,
like
so of those 20, if Starfield got announced to come out on PS5 tomorrow, how many of those 20 do you think would buy Starfield for $70 tomorrow to play it on
probably
PS5?
A quarter of them. Okay. So out of 20 people, 5 people maybe, a couple more.
25%.
And that's 25% more than they had yesterday, in terms of like Xbox, in terms of sales and stuff, finances.
And the game is 7 months old.
Yeah.
And they would pay $70
the same
for
people, and that's what the funny thing about like the fanboy war stuff, and it goes both ways. Like how many Xbox fanboys were like, oh, who gives a shit about baseball?
Yeah.
And then the show comes to Xbox and they're like, oh, this baseball game's really fucking good.
Platform or hardware doesn't matter. The content or the software is what matters. And if the content and the software is good enough for you, whoever's listening to this, and you make the choice to do however you want to play it, then that's your choice. Do I think that, like right now, do I think me buying my Series X was a mistake? Yes. Do you know why I think it was a mistake? Because my PC does it better and easier.
Yeah. But you didn't get your PC,
correct,
the new PC,
at the
until
time,
after the Xbox.
But am I upset that I spent that money? And no, has my gaming ability in the last 12 to 24 months changed? Like, I prefer to sit right where I'm sitting now and play. I bought Suicide Squad on PC. I have a PS5. I have an Xbox. I still chose to buy it on PC. I like playing it down here, and
Like you like video games
yeah,
and not platforms, you know? Like and I think that's the thing that like people need to remember is like we play video games because we love video games, and to tie our love for video games into one specific platform is such a weird thing. Like you should just
if Neil
want to enjoy the
Druckmann
video
if
game.
Neil Druckmann got peeled off by Amazon and took 80% of Naughty Dog with him and made a company called Proper Dog and was making a new game that was exclusive to Amazon Luna, guess what I'm subscribing to because of the clout that Druckmann carries.
Yeah, and also you're willing to go where the games are.
Yeah.
And right now, I honestly I think the stuff that Phil Spencer needs to address next week isn't our games might be going multi-platforms. It should be like, what the fuck are you doing with Xbox after all these layoffs? Like,
Yeah.
it should be like, what is the actual vision for like this company? Not of like, oh, we're gonna have some games go third party that are a fucking year, 2 years old. It should be like, hey, we bought all these Activision studios and talked a big game about what we can do with them, and then we got rid of a good chunk of them. Like it should be the conversation from Phil Spencer next week, not being like if I get an apology like video from Phil Spencer next week being like, yeah, Starfield's coming to PlayStation.
I would love for him
guys.
to come out and say, you know what, we're forming 3 new studios. We have no idea what they're going to be called, but here's the 6 games that we want to work on in these 3 new studios. Whatever the hell they are. Banjo-Kazooie.
I don't even need the games.
Yeah.
I just need to be like, hey, Toys from Bob lost some people. Sledgehammer lost some people. They're one studio now.
Mm-hmm. They're
working on a project.
Xbox California.
Yeah. Like, I need info on like that. I need to know, like, I actually need to know, is there a Call of Duty game this year?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't care about Call of Duty, but from a podcasting standpoint, I need to know, is there a Call of Duty this year?
Yeah.
And what platforms is it, like, necessarily, like, how is that going to work? I know it's going to come to multiple platforms, but it's just like,
I just want him to say, and like, I just want him to reiterate what he's already said. As Xbox Game Studio games come to Game Pass day 1. They will be available on console and PC, and we will evaluate other platforms if needed at that time. Like,
and I don't think them saying like Game Pass day 1, 3 to 6 months later, that game will come to PlayStation. They're going to lose Game Pass subscribers. No. That's not going to happen. They're going to keep those subscribers.
But when they signed their Indiana Jones deal, they might have signed a sales deal.
Yeah.
You know, and I get it. Like, everybody's like, oh, sales don't matter. Like, yeah, they can pay the bill. You know, but a similar conversation I had with a guy in the Discord, like that, where you get the $3 billion from? 15 times 30. You know, like they're getting this much money per month.
Yeah, but do we know how much they're investing?
And I'm right.
Like,
yeah, I know, but do you think that they're outputting more than $3 billion in game development per year?
Not game development deals and stuff like that. We don't know.
Right, but combined, like, do you think that Xbox Gaming is outputting more than $3 billion? Now, again, I'm using $3 billion as a round number, but that doesn't include any hardware sales, whether you think they're good or not good. That doesn't include any game sales. That's just the Xbox Game Pass revenue. That's all I'm talking about. Like, and I'm being low on the numbers. I think it's like 31.5 million when I looked it up.
Something like that.
And you round it down to even like $10 a month. You know, like there's a lot of cash coming in, and it doesn't mean that all that cash isn't going out.
That's what I'm saying. Like that the buckets are different, but if you just look at like the raw data like that, or like,
but do you not think that anybody paid $70 just for Starfield to play on Xbox Series X?
It definitely happened because we saw the NPDs. Like people did do that.
You know, and I look at it, and you can compare the two. Like, if you really dug into multiple platform stuff, I get it. Xbox bought these companies, but now Xbox owns, I think, 5 of the top 20 selling games from 2023. Like, and that's just that's money. Nintendo's got 3 or 4 of them in there. Sony had 1.
Yeah. Well, Sony's in a weird spot right now, which we'll get into Sony at a future time. But PlayStation's going to have the weirdest year this year.
Yeah.
We might not have a first
party. They had one game in the top 20, and I'm not saying that's bad. Like, you know, like however much it cost them. Because they sold the most
consoles last year.
Right. So. Yeah. So it's like, but in terms of, there's going to be like, there's always an ebb and flow and an adjustment. And if Microsoft can hit the cadence of a big game or a mid to big game every 3 months, which it looks like on paper right now, they're going to do that this year.
They're gonna have a quarterly game.
It's almost Valentine's Day, and we don't even know what Sony is doing this year.
We do, since the state of play, it's all third-party partnerships.
So we don't know what Sony or PlayStation Studios are doing.
We do. They're just doing third-party partnerships because they don't fucking have anything right now. PlayStation's in the same spot Xbox was 2 years ago, but they're at least able to sell hardware. You know, where Xbox went like
I'm waiting for the Destiny Final Shape state of play. You know, because they're gonna have to push that.
Oh, I forgot. Their first party game is gonna be the DLC for Destiny 2.
People can roll your eyes or whatever, but between now and June, what is and Bungie's not a PlayStation studio. They're owned by PlayStation, but they're not a PlayStation studio.
I know they're outside of that little graph chart.
I know.
But it's based on the stuff that happened last year.
But I'm just saying, they spent all this time with Square Enix and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. They're pushing Foam Stars. They're pushing. What else did they just push from the state of play?
Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade. But is Stellar Blade only coming to PlayStation?
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay. And this mantra that I would love to go away. We've talked about words going away. I'm tired of the word console exclusive. PC is a real competitor, and it is a bigger competitor than Xbox or PlayStation.
The funny thing is the reason it's not considered console competitor is because
you don't plug it into a TV in your living room.
No. It's because there's dozens of hardware manufacturers. Yeah. But the one common thing those hardware manufacturers have is it runs on fucking Windows. So
and who owns Windows, Michael?
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know. I don't know the company's name.
Yeah.
It's changed. But that's the funny thing of this them Microsoft either way they're working out, because it's you can't pin down one manufacturer as the creator of PCs.
My computer at work is a Windows computer. And when it's not signed on and I hit the little space bar to go onto my computer, this thing is probably the size of my computer is probably the size of my phone. The little box that sits on my desk is probably the size of my phone, because it's for me to check email and to verify inventory. And I go to do my sign on, my Outlook sign on or whatever to get in there. There's a Game Pass advertisement on that screen.
You know what's fucking funny? Because at my work computer, a month or two ago, every computer at work kept getting Deathloop is on Game Pass. And I cracked up because anytime I turned on a computer, and I'm imaging dozens of computers a day, I just turn on a computer and be Deathloop's on Game Pass. And I'm at a certain point, I gotta wonder if people at my company were just Deathloop, and then ended up investing in Deathloop.
So it's two different people playing different marketing, different strategies, and I think do I think Phil Spencer's losing power at Microsoft? No. I don't. I just think that the board is wanting to see more action faster. That's all.
They want more action. They want to see just a little bit more money getting squeezed out, and the way to do that is to go third party. And I'm sure if you told Microsoft's board, if it's hey, so we can get more money if we release this stuff on PlayStation and Nintendo, the board's not gonna be hold on, but the Xbox brand, they're gonna be okay, yeah, do it. If you can guarantee more money. I boot
up my Switch, and it says PlayStation Studios presents MLB The Show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why is it going to be that big of a deal if I boot up my PlayStation and it says Xbox Game Studios presents Indiana Jones? Why?
I don't know. And that's the thing. I think when you boot up Psychonauts on PlayStation, it shows the Xbox Studios logo.
So it's just
no one cared.
People are oh well, this game when it came to PlayStation was bad. Okay, there's gonna be bad software. It's gonna happen. So again, is it the platform or is it the software? Oh, I'm not gonna buy a Hi-Fi Rush anyways. Okay, well, if it would have came to PlayStation on day one, would you have bought it? No. What the fuck difference does it make then?
Yeah. So just let people enjoy games. We beat this horse to death, Dave. We could probably move on.
All right. What have you been playing?
For me, it's Apollo Justice, the Ace Attorney trilogy. So this is the third set of Ace Attorney games, the remasters they've been doing since 2020. So it's a new attorney. First one was Phoenix Wright. Second one was Naruhodo. And then the third one is Apollo Justice. Uh, Coming off the Great Ace Attorney, which was the middle trilogy that took place like in the 1800s, 1900s, going back to like modern times. Ace Attorney is taking a little bit to get used to, but love the Ace Attorney games. It's something me and Sarah play, going through the trials and stuff like that. You know, like the court cases is always really entertaining to do. This is just the latest trilogy. There's been rumors that like Ace Attorney has done so well with these remastered trilogies and sets that they might start making more Ace Attorney games, which I hope they do. But it's something I'm going to be very fascinated with, like how they do it, because the first remastered set was 3 games that had like 3 to 5 cases each game.
Mm-hmm.
So you ended up with like 15 trials in the first game. The second one was 2 games that were remastered, and they had like 5 trials per game, so you had 10 trials on that one. And then this one, it's 3 games with, again, like 3 to 5 trials per game, remastered, and it's like a $50 collection. I wonder how they bring Ace Attorney back, and in what form, and how much it'll end up costing, because people that have never interacted with Ace Attorney are only used to it in this format where you get a shit ton of content for a really good price. And the reason they were able to do it is because it's remastered content. So when they start making new original Ace Attorney stuff, I just wonder if it's going to be priced appropriately, or they're going to want like $60 outright for like 1 game as opposed to $60 for 3 games like I paid for this set, if that makes sense. But there's not much to talk about with the Ace Attorney stuff. Everyone knows how those games work. I think this should be the last set of remasters. There's a couple like one-off games that they could kind of cobble together and maybe make like another box set experience. But I don't think that's going to happen, because those like one-off games are pretty standalone, as opposed to like Apollo Justice's full trilogy, Phoenix Wright's full trilogy, or Naruhodo's, because he only had 2 games, whatever that would be called. But I love Capcom for doing this. They put a ton of work into the stuff. Like the art looks really nice, super clean. Especially a lot of these are like DS games and 3DS games that are remastered, so they translate well to like the Switch and PlayStation. You know, it has like the extras with like soundboards, concept art, all that stuff that Capcom's really good at doing when they do their remasters. So playing that's kind of just been all of our time. It's just Ace Attorney stuff. Nothing else there. I didn't pick up Suicide Squad. Still kind of interested in Suicide Squad, but
well, I'm hearing. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I kind of want to wait till maybe like the Joker stuff is out, just because it sounds like I might want just a little bit more content. Because you can burn through Suicide Squad relatively fast. I'm told,
like 10
if
to
you
12
want.
hours.
Yeah,
and
I don't.
It's not uncommon for a service style campaign. It depends on if there's an end game and you don't care about end game, so you wanting to wait for something makes sense.
Yeah, especially like if I wait closer to end game content to be released, then that's kind of when I want to jump on board.
Yeah. I haven't had I've chosen not to, just because I've been tired. And you know, we've had some stuff going on, you know, with just in general, nothing like bad, or we're kind of just more adulting stuff, like redoing the living room and changing some stuff around again. And
I've been interviewing banks to see which bank to go with if I want to buy a house this year.
Oh yeah,
it's like, oh, that's exhausting.
Yeah, you got to get a mortgage guy for that, buddy. Like not a bank, like an independent mortgage dude.
I'm going through that whole process, talking to some banks, talking to mortgage people. That's,
you know, so we're trying to get some stuff like organized. My wife and I are actually going on our own vacation. It's just the 2 of us. I actually until like yesterday, I forgot to tell Michael. I'm like, hey man, in 2 weeks I'm out of town. And he's like, oh, and it's a vacation. It's a kidless vacation, which we've had one other one in our life, in our married life together. So Owen's going to grandma's, and we're going to San Diego. So I'll be in San Diego for a couple days, like 5 days, I think. So that's like December, like February, like 19th. So we've been doing a little bit of planning for that, and you know, like it's all the stupid stuff too. It's like my wife hasn't been on a plane since like 2007. And I'm not worried about that, but like we don't have like luggage. like because
Oh yeah, because you usually just throw stuff in a duffel bag when you went to go to E3 and
yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
so I mean, I had like a just a very basic stuff because I can like a couple pairs of jeans, and some t-shirts and stuff like that. But like now, like I have to like if I go out to dinner with my wife, like I want to look presentable, like so. As before, I would be like what we would wear like two pairs, like a pair of jeans and two pairs of shorts and some t-shirts, like for E3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Make sure we have like 5 or 6 pairs of socks, and I always had good shoes, so I didn't have to worry about rotating my shoes or anything. But so like, I don't even have like a good like caster wheel carry on that I don't have to like play with a dolly or whatever. Like the one like all 4 wheels spin or something. Like I don't have anything like that, or to check bags. So, but yeah, like there's just a lot going on, and I do intend on getting back to Suicide Squad. Been just watching, like we watched the Percy Jackson stuff with Owen. I've fallen down the rabbit hole of like terrible shows that like whatever it is, like the 2008 show, like The Game, that's like 20-minute shows on something that's it's awful, but it's just background
like a
noise.
drastic change, like in formats for that show.
Supposedly, yeah, I haven't gotten to it yet though, but I've
it was a comedy at first and then turned into a drama, something like that, or was it reverse?
There's something. It's like I'm in like season 3 was super short, but it's one of those you don't realize how fast time just melts when you're just watching like 20-minute episodes that have little mini cliffhangers at the end of each one. So you're like, okay, just one more. Okay,
that's
just
me
one more.
with video game hunting videos. I ended up falling down like 3 or 4 channels.
How much did you pay for that Spec Ops line, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh my god, this is fucking hilarious. Okay, so Spec Ops line was delisted last week. Okay.
Yeah.
Soon as that news hit, like literally minutes after like Wario was like shit got delisted, I jumped to eBay, typed in Spec Ops the line, and looked for the first buy now I can find, because Spec Ops the line is usually only a $10 game. And as I was looking, I saw people on eBay taking their Spec Ops the line buy nows off the market because they were going to go jack up the price. And I found one person that had Spec Ops. He had what is it? Soldier of Fortune, Ghost Recon, and Spec Ops the line in a bundle for $15. And no one saw this eBay listing because Spec Ops the line was at the end of the title.
Okay.
So I fucking jumped on that shit so fucking fast.
I need to go into some of my random game stores and just see if I can, like.
You definitely did.
Yeah.
Like thrift stores, like we talked about. You have to do some garage sale hunting.
Because it'll play on my Series X, correct?
Yes, it will. And it's funny though, because the entire day I'm like, this fucker's not going to ship this. He's going to cancel this. He's going to cancel it. It's one of the best eBay stores ever because he shipped it the same day. It came in immaculate packaging. Like he did 2 sandwich boards on top of it, taped the sandwich board so they were perfectly shipped. And I got it within like 2 days. And then I went back to eBay to look at how much people were selling Spec Ops the line. And I was just like, either this guy just doesn't care or he's pissed right now, because now Spec Ops the line on eBay is going for like $70 to $80.
Are you going to flip it? Or are you going to hang on?
No, I'm keeping it. It's mine. I might flip the other 2 games because I don't give a shit about Soldier of Fortune or Ghost Recon, but those are like $2 games.
Yeah.
But like, I was so nervous that week.
Even if you flip those for $2 a piece, you paid $11 for Spec Ops the line.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just seeing it on eBay, like I was looking yesterday and I was seeing like $60-$70 copies, and I'm just like, yeah, this was a good choice. Apparently Devil May Cry has been delisted as well, like not DMC, the Ninja Theory one, but the other Devil May Cry remasters. Apparently those have been delisted, which I already own, thank God. So we're going to see a lot of games get delisted this year, I think. I think there's a lot of companies are realizing it's not worth it to them to continue paying licenses to keep some of these old games up.
Yeah. And then I forgot, with Owen's ability to lately, the last 6 months, just to actually watch movies. We watched, again, just randomly on Hulu, it showed up. We watched The Mummy and The Mummy Returns.
I've been wanting to rewatch that. I showed Sarah them like maybe a year ago because she had never seen them. And I remember a year ago being like, these movies are still charming.
Well, they're on Hulu, if that helps.
I think we do have Hulu.
That's what we watched them on. The first one is not as good as I remember it, but the second one's still solid. So
which one starts with the train?
The second one, the one that has The Rock in it, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Scorpion King or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
either a train or a ship. I forget.
yeah. Yeah, so and then I know that Brendan Fraser got like some kind of bad rap, but he was really good. Like,
Well, he didn't get a bad rap,
or he stopped
but
acting for a while.
yeah, it seemed like he just I don't like he just
But he
had like
just won
that
an
thing.
Oscar, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He had this like
My wife
run
told me
where
that. I don't follow that enough.
he just had a run where he was like the biggest star in the world, and then he just kind of stopped working, and no one could figure out like what the fuck happened.
He's also I usually don't judge people, but he's huge.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's
Well,
big.
he gained a lot of weight for a movie, but I think he was already kind of big at that point.
Yeah.
Not super big, but
Yeah.
just not what you are used
Yeah.
to him being.
So
Yeah.
I just forgot he did a really good job of them in the Mummies. Like
Oh, he was like the biggest star at the in
Yeah.
the '90s. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of
I don't
weird that he
remember if
didn't
there's more than
maintain
two.
that.
Is there more than 2 Mummies?
There's a third one, and I think Jet Li is the villain in that one.
Yeah.
Terrible. Don't watch it. And then of course there's a Scorpion King
Yeah.
spinoff.
Yeah. So
And then you can watch there's a Scorpion King sequel that doesn't have The Rock in it, and then there's also a Mummy one that doesn't have Brendan Fraser or anybody famous in it. I think it stars like a UFC fighter. So don't watch those. Just make sure Brendan Fraser's in it.
Yeah. So all right. But yeah, for the most part, that's what I've been playing and watching. Helldivers comes out this week. Helldivers 2, sorry.
Mhm.
So I'm really kind of I'm picking that up, but I'm also more interested. I just want to see, like, because contrary to popular belief, Sony's publishing a game on PlayStation and PC at the same time. That's not really a service game, but is a service game.
It's also a second party game, so
So what? The second part, yeah.
second
yeah.
party.
But it's being published by Sony.
Yeah.
I even checked. Excuse me. I even checked because they're publishing it on the PC, because sometimes they third party that out too, and they're publishing it on PC. So they're not only, it's not like console exclusive, like whatever. But I'm more interested just to see how this works. Cross-play, cross-chat, cross-save. Like,
Well, to be fair, the first Helldivers had cross-platform play between Vita, PS3, and PS4, I believe.
it was
I think
all on
that's how that
PSN
worked.
though, bud.
Yeah, I know. But the fact that they were
Yeah.
able to somehow get the Vita to communicate with the PS3 for crossplay means like they probably got this.
The cross chat doesn't matter to me because Discord's amazing, but it's just it's because I'm gonna buy it on PC. It's cheaper. CD keys, Green Man Gaming. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
So.
And then if you're not interested day one, the spring sale's coming up, and you'll probably end up being able to get it super cheap that way.
So. But so I'll be super interested to see how that goes. I don't really know enough about that game, but I know same thing. A couple of my friends are getting it, and I'm getting it. Shooting aliens is always fun. Is it gonna be fun in 30 days? Who knows? We'll find out. So, but yeah. Other than that, like if I pick it up and I have some time, I'll try to stream it. So you can watch it on the streaming is now on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. So you can check that out and subscribe and follow on each of those. So it should be fun. Hopefully get back to Suicide Squad and do some vacation prep. Michael's gonna reach out to some people and try to see if he can record while I'm on vacation. If not, it might just be a week off, and you guys are just gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah, or another solo show. I think I've done one solo show before. So.
I offered to with Discord and he to jump on a call with him, and he's like, "No, you're on vacation." He's like my boss now. He's like, "You take your time off."
Just the idea that you're in the middle of enjoying San Diego and you're just like, hold on, I gotta go talk about some bullshit video game things. I'll be back in 2 hours.
Yeah, it'd be like at like 5:30 5:30 California time for you. Like,
yeah.
So
it's like Angela's getting ready, so I got an hour to record a podcast.
Hey, she doesn't take that long to get ready.
Okay.
So I hope everyone has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya. All right.
All right. So thank you guys for hanging out in chat, and thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys all have a great night. Later.